everyone, and welcome once again to The View from the Midwest. It's time for a post-match edition for St. Louis FC. Well, unfortunately, things didn't go quite the way they could have, but they could have been a lot better. They could have been a lot worse. So ultimately, the result that St. Louis FC got was probably what is necessary given the circumstances of the game. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it was a 1-1 draw against Charleston Battery. And it was a pretty good game for the most part, and about two-thirds of the way through the game. And then St. Louis FC scored. You think you're going to score, and then things will get easier. It only got harder for St. Louis FC there. It was a great goal from Jamil Hardware in the 60th minute. Bit of miscommunication. The ball was initially intended to go to Roberts. Didn't quite get there, but ended up falling right to Hardware, and he had a nice little slap past the keeper to put St. Louis up 1-0. And that's the point to where it could have been better than what they had. St. Louis FC was tooth and nail the rest of the way, scratching, clawing, trying to get that all-important 3 points that would have been huge momentum going into the return match that will be played on Thursday at home. Ultimately, St. Louis FC comes away with a point. At this stage in the game, you can't complain too much about that, because you have to have points. You cannot lose games pretty much from here on out if you have any hope of making the playoffs. So getting at least a point was extremely important for the team, but as I said, that was the point to where things could have gone better for the team if they had just been able to hang on for that last minute. But again, it was kind of tooth and nail, as I said, scratch and claw, and doing whatever they could, blocking shots. Alex Kahn made a couple, Alex Kahn made a couple good saves. I don't think I'll ever get over calling him Kahn. It's apparently Alex Kahn. He made some great saves, really kept the team in the game, did a great job in goal overall. And again, just that one final little touch towards the back, that one little final ball over the top, just wasn't quite there for St. Louis. They had a couple opportunities even after the equalizing goal. Ambersley had a good opportunity towards the end of the game, right at the death, but it just was not to be for St. Louis. Again, set pieces seem to be kind of the positive and negative for this team, just a little bit. It was a corner kick. Somebody got to the ball on the back post, and ultimately they salvage a draw instead of a loss, to which St. Louis would have had just, that would have been just so much of a good result for this team, given everything that's gone wrong here lately. They've had bad games, they've had good games, they've looked great, they've looked terrible, they've picked up red cards, the roster is being diminished, and that's the final point that unfortunately I will have to leave this on. There has to be better discipline with this team. I don't know if the frustration of the way things have gone over the season is starting to culminate, starting to accumulate, kind of snowball on top of itself, or what the deal is. But Nick Bibbs picked up a red card. Kingsley Bryce picked up a red card. Both straight reds for challenges that didn't necessarily have to be made. There was the fight a couple games ago as well. They're just... Well, and actually, Nick Bibbs' challenge was not necessarily what gave the red card, but he came close. There were a couple of them that if he didn't get the ball, he probably would have been carded. But again, Gasecki picks up 2 yellows. Ambersley picks up a foolish yellow, shoving a player at the end of the game. I fully understand. I mean, I'm competitive myself. I play in a recreational league, and I get a little bit mad sometimes if you don't think your teammates are playing to a certain level, you don't think you yourself are playing to a certain level, and you want to go out there and give a good account of yourself, and maybe they don't feel that that's happening right now, and it's just kind of boiling to the surface. But you have to try to temper that a little bit, because right now St. Louis FC has put itself in an extremely difficult position. Yes, they salvaged the draw against one of the top teams in the conference, but you have to play that same team in St. Louis come Thursday, a place that unfortunately you have not played well at, against a very good team, and now all of a sudden put yourself in an extremely difficult position. Now you're not going to have Nick Bibbs come the next game, you're not going to have Gasecki, you're not going to have Bushu, you're not going to have Kingsley Bryce. St. Louis didn't have necessarily the deepest roster to begin with, and the defense and the goalkeepers have been under fire here lately, and it's only going to get worse come the next few games. They just have to try to soldier through. Everybody on the team has done a great job of that. We do have to give them credit, regardless of the results. The team, with the exception of a couple games, because you can't overlook that, overall, the team as a whole has done a good job soldiering through. They've dealt with the adversity. They've tried their best. Sometimes it's just not good enough, and in the end, they just have to kind of keep doing that. It's an extremely frustrating point in the season right now because you're really kind of behind the 8 ball, so to speak. There's still the opportunity to sneak into that playoff spot, but so much has to happen to have that happen. You need to start getting wins, and those are difficult to come by, even at the top level, even if it's the best team in the world. Sometimes wins are just difficult to come by, and when you're struggling the way that St. Louis is, where things are just not going your way on the outside, on the ancillary part of the game, you just have to find a way. Thursday's going to be a good test of this team's mettle, and if they are going to make a push towards the playoffs or not, because they're going to have to dig deep. They've started to do it. It looked like they might get the 3 points from this last game, and unfortunately it just was not meant to be. But again, you see glimpses, you see flashes. It would just be nice to see that for an entire 90 minutes. And tonight, it was there for a good 60 minutes, then they kind of disappeared for about 10 or 15, returned to the game, just had a bad one of those kind of goals go against you right at the end of time, just a minute or so before the whistle might have gone. And unfortunately, St. Louis will have to live to fight another day. The unfortunate part about that as well is the bodies are getting few and far between. That is the view from the Midwest. I know that I'll see you all out there Thursday for the home game against Charleston, the return match. Hopefully we can find a way to win at home, because that is the key. I mean, you got to keep people in the seats regardless of how you do on the road. One win in the league is just not going to cut it. But I know that we'll all be out there and we're all going to have fun, and hopefully the team will provide an entertaining atmosphere on the field as well. But that is the view from the Midwest. What are your views on that topic? What did you think of the game? Give us a comment. Comment, rate, and subscribe on YouTube. Thumbs up, YouTube, Facebook. But until the next time, I'll see you then.